Yeshua gave an example, a parable about a synagogue, a place of worship. And he said that there was a man that came to the synagogue. He was a Pharisee, and he was well-dressed, large phylacteries or prayer materials on his head and his arm, and just a person of honor. And he said to the Lord, "Thank you that you have not made me like these sinners. Thank you that I am so well-groomed and so everything's so good in my life, and that I'm such a wonderful person, and look at me." And then he looked at another man who was a sinner, sitting in the back and weeping and saying, "Lord, I'm so evil. I've done so many horrible things. I just am so sorry for what I've done, how I've messed up my life. I really wish that I could do things right, and I wish that I could please you." This man wasn't well dressed. Maybe his Sunday best or his Shabbat clothes was rags, or maybe just t-shirts and jeans, whatever it was. People looked at him outwardly and said, "Ugh." And the man with all the gold and the Pharisees with all this, wow, what an impressive person. How often do we do that with people? We look at people for their star quality, for their wealth, for the way they dress or what they drive. We look at them and we go, "Ooh, this person is something." And then we look at somebody who looks to you like a vagabond or looks like a homeless person. Maybe he's not homeless, but he doesn't have the fine things of life. He just makes enough to make ends meet in his job. And we look down on him. We think he's a failure, a loser. He doesn't have a multi-million-dollar bank account. He just barely makes enough to pay his rent or his food bills or take care of his family. When will we get to the day where we stop looking at people like that and stop assessing them according to how much they're worth? Recently, there's a famous person who seems to struggle with a lot of mental illness, and he brags about being worth $2 billion. He brags about this constantly. He brags that he's the most creative person on earth. He brags that he's so far above so many other people, there's nothing to listen to. And people pay homage to him. Why? Because of his money, because of his talents, because of his, but he says some very horrible things. Recently claiming that Hitler was a wonderful person that had good qualities, claiming all kinds of horrible things. And you know what? He gets a pass. He gets a pass from his community, from his ethnic community, because of his ethnicity, not because if he was a white person saying these things, they would all be condemning him. They would all be going after him. But because of his color, because of his money, he can do no wrong. When are we going to get to the point where we look at people the way God looks at them? He looks inward. He doesn't look outward. Stop looking outward. Read Isaiah 53. There was nothing about Yeshua that made people just say, "Wow, what a handsome, what a well-dressed person this is." There was nothing about him that says that made people ooh and awe. And I think that God wants us to rid ourselves of this kind of thing. He wants us to rid ourselves of judging people from the outside. He wants us to look inside.